The whereabouts of the 12 activists, including a journalist who were on board the Madleen boat, remain unknown. During the early hours of this morning, the Zionist military attacked the Madleen and kidnapped the activists on board. The boat was nearing Gaza to try and break the Israeli-imposed siege, and the boat was transporting baby formula, female sanitary products, and other essentials, all of which have since been intercepted by the Israeli occupation. Joining us now is a member of the Freedom Flotilla coalition organizer, and that is Huwaida Arraf. Thank you so much for your time and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Huwaida, of course, there's a lot of speculation as to what is happening now. There's a lot of unknowns, but as far as the information that you have received thus far, what is the latest regarding these abducted activists?
Well, you are absolutely correct that we lost contact with our colleagues at approximately 2 a.m. Central European time. And after that, we don't know. Right before we lost contact, we know that there were two drones hovering overhead that sprayed some kind of white chemical on them. And then we saw them being surrounded by Israeli naval forces with the lights flashing. And one of their vessels, it looks like a naval vessel, rammed the Medlin, and all contact went out. We assume that is the point that the Israeli commandos raided the ship and took everyone hostage. They are, as we assume and as being told in the Israeli media, being taken against their will to the Israeli port of Ashdod. We do not know how they are doing. Of course, information coming out now is coming from the Israeli occupation forces, which we do not trust. If there was nothing for them to hide, they would not cut our communication with them and they would let us be in touch with them. But of course, they are not. They are held incommunicado.
I mean, you've had previous experiences of breaking the siege in this way, and you're also part of the Freedom Flotilla in 2010. And looking at, the horrific scenes that we experienced in 2010 at that time when the Mavi Marmara was attacked, the conditions in which activists were targeted, and then, of course, as well, kidnapped in international waters, imprisoned, and all of those things. When you think about those experiences, will similar tactics be used with this group of 12?
You're correct in that we have witnessed and we have been subjected to horrors by the Israeli occupation forces, but it doesn't compare to what's happening in Gaza. Of course, we did lose 10 of our colleagues, and that is those were targeted killings, and we believe that they targeted, of course, brown Muslim people. Most of the people on the Madleen were white European activists. We expect them, because of Israeli propaganda, to be treated better. In fact, Israel's already tweeting out their propaganda videos about quote unquote gentle treatment. But make no mistake, our colleagues were abducted in international waters. They were nowhere near Israeli waters. Israel has absolutely no authority to control Palestinian waters. It has no authority to enforce an illegal blockade that is put in place specifically to impose a starvation campaign, to starve Palestinian civilians, children to death. That is unlawful. It is a war crime. No country in the world has any authority to forcibly intercept vessels trying to break an illegal blockade. So to answer your question, we have seen horrors and been subjected to them as you recount. I have been on 9 missions to break the Israeli siege myself. I know how violent they can be, but we also know that there are a lot of eyes on the Madleen. All of these civilians, embassies and representatives are contacted, and they're assuring us that they will take immediate action. So we want to keep eyes on Gaza and what is happening to the Palestinian people in Gaza, who no one is standing up for them. No government, no country. In fact, they're all colluding with the Israeli occupation forces to exterminate them. And we were at sea trying to bring symbolic humanitarian aid to Gaza because our governments have been allowing Israel to persecute the Palestinian people for so long. So we are calling on people all over the world to support and join us. We must stop waiting for this genocidal entity to allow humanitarian into a people that they are actively exterminating. And we must break down all borders. There is a march starting in a few days from Rafah and from Egypt and from Tunis, and we are going to go again via the sea. So we invite organizations and activists to organize their own boats and come with us, and we continue to call on governments to take action, start upholding international law to sanction Israel. Israel is not going to stop its genocidal rampage until it is subjected to severe sanctions by the entire international community.
Mm. Well, I just want to get your response here. As you were talking about the Israeli propaganda that's been pushed out. One of the statements early this morning was they were referring to the Madleen and its crew as the selfie ship. I just wanted to get your response to that, especially considering the importance of having those video documents available as evidence of the Israeli acts of piracy and terrorism.
Well, I think it's rather rich that Israel is talking about a selfie ship when it is, the master of genocidal war crime selfies.
Mm.
If activists were filming their mission to break a genocidal siege and to actively oppose a genocide, then that's at least much better than filming yourself and taking selfies of you committing war crimes, as Israel has been doing. So again, that's just part of Israel's propaganda, and we must recognize it as that.
Mm. Just then, of course, you were mentioning the other civilian actions that are being taken as well. And I think one of the concerns, and I noticed it as well from some of the statements released by the 12 on board the Madleen, was we're doing this because our governments are doing nothing. And I think that is where some of the failure is here as well, that it's been allowed and been supported by some governments supporting this genocide of Gaza and supporting the occupation of Palestine.
That's absolutely correct. It should be governments that are defying this blockade. Again, it is illegal. The entire world is horrified and has been horrified watching Israel systematically, deliberately starve people, starve children to death. And yet our governments sit by and allow Israel to do it. Only recently, we've been starting to see some change in tone from some European countries, but they're only platitudes, no action. And what we need is action. Of course, we know the United States is the prime supporter and enabler of Israel's crimes, and we need more pressure there. The American public is changing, is witnessing what is happening, and is horrified, but we must step up the pressure. I will also add that the vessel, the Madleen,
Mm.
is flagged in the United Kingdom. So this is a vessel that was sailing under a UK flag. So the Madleen was sovereign UK territory that Israel attacked in international law. So it violated UK sovereignty. It violated international law. It violated the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. It violated the International Court of Justice orders to allow the immediate, unimpeded access to humanitarian aid. This was a civilian mission, and it attacked a civilian vessel. All of these crimes that neither the UK nor any country should be silent about, but specifically now the UK, since its sovereignty was also violated, and the states of each and every one of the civilians on board, that's France and Sweden and Germany, the Netherlands, Turkey, Brazil, they all need to speak up, and Spain, and not just speak up. Again, we are calling for action, and action means sanctions on Israel now. That is the only way Israel is going to stop its crimes, and we have to stop them. Countless numbers of Palestinians are being dismembered, buried, starved to death every single day.
Huwaida Arraf, thank you so much for your time and your continued activism to seek justice for your people and to stop the Israeli genocide of Palestinians in Gaza.